This video captures a wild and tense Zoom courtroom hearing that quickly turns into a battle between common sense and so-called sovereign citizen logic. Gordy, the defendant, insists he's not a person but a man, claims police captured him, and repeatedly tries to argue that the court has no authority over him. From the very first moments, it's clear this isn't going to be a normal hearing. When asked to enter a plea, Gordy flat out refuses. He dodges every direct question and keeps repeating strange legal phrases that don't actually mean anything in court. The judge, calm but clearly unimpressed, steps in and enters a not guilty plea on his behalf just to move things forward. Then the charges hit hard. Gordy is accused of driving while his license was suspended, a second offense. That's not minor. It's a Class A misdemeanor that could mean up to a year in jail, heavy fines, and even mandatory jail time. But instead of taking it seriously, Gordy denies he ever had a prior offense, even though the court record says otherwise. Things get even more chaotic when he demands to face the man or woman who claims he caused harm, arguing there's no crime without a victim. The judge quickly shuts that down, reminding him that traffic and license violations don't work that way. These aren't debates, they're laws. Despite all the strange arguments and constant interruptions, the judge stays firm, sets a trial date, and orders Gordy to show up in person or get a lawyer. No loopholes. No magic words. Just reality. By the end, it's a perfect example of what happens when internet legal myths collide with an actual courtroom. The system doesn't bend, and accountability always catches up.
Gordon Cooley. You'll need to unmute your screen, sir.
Yes, I am the man that is that person.
So you're Gordon Cooley?
Yep.
Very well. State appears by Jill Gillette, County Attorney. Mr. Cooley, there's been an amended complaint filed on, it looks like April 17th. You're charged with driving while suspended as a second offense for on or about March the 25th of 2024 in Elk County, Kansas. If indeed you have a prior conviction where this would be a second offense, that's a Class A misdemeanor. A Class A misdemeanor is punishable up to 1 year in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $2,500. Additionally, with a second offense for driving while suspended, there's a mandatory 5-day minimum sentence. However, a person can be placed on probation from that, but there is mandatory sentence that would have to be imposed. Do you understand what you're charged with?
No, I don't quite understand those no, I don't.
What's your question in regards to what you're charged with?
Well, I think this is a matter of a mistaken identity. My persons was never involved in anything. I'm carrying my property from point A to point B. There's no vested interest of the state to even stop me. I'm exercising my God-given constitutionally protected rights. And I stated that to the man acting as the police officer. I didn't present him with a license.
You are charged, sir. Hold on. You're charged with driving while suspended, a second offense. That would indicate to me that you've had a first offense.
No.
Have you been in court before on this type of charge?
Nope, not on driving while suspended. No, I have not.
All right. Well, that is what you're charged with. You don't have to agree with it. You can certainly, that is an issue at trial if you feel you have a defense. As with the others that I've explained, you have certain rights. You are charged with a misdemeanor, so you are entitled to be represented by a counsel. And if you wish to apply for court-appointed counsel, if you meet the financial guidelines, I would appoint one to represent you. You also have the right to represent yourself. You also have the right to have counsel of your own choosing at your own expense. So at this time, if you wish to have a trial, if you wish to speak with an attorney, Counsel, would he qualify under any programs you have since you charged this as a second offense?
No.
All right. So apparently diversion wouldn't be an option for you. So if you're wishing to have a trial or to speak with an attorney, your plea at this time should be not guilty. If you wish to plead guilty, then we'd proceed to sentencing. But based upon what you're telling me, those would be issues that could be addressed at trial. So at this time, how do you wish to plead?
I don't plan to plea. I guess I'll answer in affirmative that Demers is not acquiesced to quasi-jurisdiction.
If you are if you're not going to enter a formal plea, you're standing mute, and I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
Okay, I exercise my right to trial by jury then. I'd like to face the man or the woman that claims I've done them harm or loss.
Mr. Cooley, if you wish to have a trial by jury.
I'm Gordy. I'm not Mr. Cooley. I'm Gordy. I'm a man. I'm not a person.
All right. Mr. Cooley.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
You need to be quiet for a moment. I'm going to explain what the situation is. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You've entered a plea, refusing to enter a plea, which is fine. A person can stand mute, and I will set this matter for trial. If you wish to be or have a jury trial, you have the right to do so. However, you need to do that in the proper form. With a misdemeanor offense, you have to file a written motion for that request. Otherwise, it's set before the court. So you would need to do that in a timely way. If you're going to represent yourself, you would have to follow the rules as though you're an attorney. So all of those things would, most people don't have the training to where if they're going to do a jury trial, they're better off being represented by counsel. But that's a choice that you're going to have to make.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Can there be a valid cause of action without an injured party?
Sir, that's not a valid question for what we're doing here today.
I've tried settling this matter in the private twice. If you have any papers in front of you with my signature on them, it's because that is what was required for me to get away from my captor. I don't understand what a man thinks that he has the authority to take another man and throw them in a box when they have harmed no man or woman. No claim has been brought against them.
You need to be quiet now. We're going to give you a court date, and you can advise me how you're going to proceed at that court date. If you're going to apply for a jury trial, then you'll need to make that application by that time. Otherwise, you'll be set for a bench trial. That's before the court. Sarah, could you give us a date, please?
What sort of time frame would you like, Judge? 30 minutes?
Approximately 30 days, 30 minutes would be fine.
We can do May 15th at 2:30.
Judge, I'm out that afternoon. We could do 11:30 if there's nothing else scheduled there.
We put that for a trial and for an hour, didn't we? So
if you only need 30 minutes, we could do the 11 to 12.
Well, we said something at 10:30, I believe, or was it the 10 o'clock that was set for trial?
It was the 10:30 to 11:30 that was set.
Okay, let's set this at 11:30 for a pretrial. So, Mr. Cooley, you will need to appear at the courthouse in Howard. And if you're going to file a motion for a jury trial, you need to have done so by that time. If you're going to hire an attorney, you need to do that. If you're going to apply for an attorney, I would suggest that you do that as soon as possible, so that you can have counsel at that time.
Am I going to be able to face the man or the woman that has a claim before me, or are you going to discharge the matter? If there's not a man or a woman here, then this matter needs to be discharged. Sir,
I've heard these arguments before, and those are not legal arguments. Somebody's made these things.
I'm not a member of the legal society.
Sir,
can you bring the law to the court, please? Can we bring the law to the court?
Mr. Cooley, stop interrupting. At your hearing, if you have motions that you wish to have heard, you can file them in advance. I would strongly recommend you be represented by counsel. But your court appearance is May 15th, at 11:30, and you are to be here in person.
I will invoke my common law rights.
This video captures one of those courtroom moments that feels almost unreal from the very beginning. A simple Zoom hearing, a routine traffic charge, and a defendant who believes the law simply doesn't apply to him. But within seconds, it becomes clear that this isn't going to be normal. What should have been a quick court appearance slowly turns into a tense, frustrating, and strangely fascinating showdown between a judge trying to follow the law and a man determined to deny reality itself. The defendant, Gordy, joins the hearing already prepared for battle. Not with evidence, not with a lawyer, not with facts, but with ideology. Instead of answering basic questions, he starts with a claim that immediately raises eyebrows. He tells the court he is not a person, but a man. He repeats it like it's some kind of legal shield, as if saying those words magically removes him from the justice system. It's the kind of argument you see online in sovereign citizen forums, not something you expect to hear in an actual courtroom. The judge, calm and professional, tries to keep things simple. Name, identification, confirmation, basic procedure. But every time the judge asks something straightforward, Gordy responds with word games. He says he was captured, not arrested. He says he doesn't consent. He says he doesn't recognize the court's authority. Instead of cooperating, he treats the hearing like a debate, as if he's going to outsmart the system with technicalities he memorized from the internet. The judge doesn't take the bait. He sticks to procedure. Then comes the most basic part of any criminal case, entering a plea. Guilty or not guilty. Two choices. Simple. But Gordy refuses. He won't say either word. He talks around the question. He repeats strange phrases. He tries to challenge jurisdiction. He acts like answering would somehow trap him. The court can't just sit there forever, though. Cases have to move forward. So after giving him multiple chances, the judge does what courts always do in this situation. He enters a not guilty plea on Gordy's behalf. Just like that, the game stops. Reality wins. And now the charges are read out loud. Driving while suspended. Second offense. Not a tiny infraction. Not a parking ticket. This is serious. The judge explains it clearly. This is a class A misdemeanor. It carries the possibility of real consequences. Up to a year in county jail. Thousands of dollars in fines. And a mandatory minimum sentence that could put him behind bars no matter what. You'd think hearing that would make someone focus. But Gordy barely reacts. Instead of addressing the charge, he denies history itself. He claims he never had a prior offense, even though the court record shows this is his second time. The judge has the documentation right there. It's not a debate. It's recorded fact. Still, Gordy argues. It's like watching someone argue with gravity. Then things get even stranger. He demands to face the man or woman who claims he harmed them. He keeps repeating that there must be an injured party. A victim. Someone who personally suffered. Without that, he says, there can't be a crime. It sounds convincing if you don't understand how the law works. But traffic laws don't require a victim. License laws don't require a victim. You don't get to drive without a valid license just because nobody crashed into you yet. The law exists to prevent harm, not wait for it. The judge explains this, briefly and directly. These aren't legal arguments. They're internet myths. But Gordy doesn't listen. Every explanation from the court is met with another script, another phrase, another recycled talking point. It's like he's reading from a playbook. At this point, the hearing starts to feel less like a legal proceeding and more like a wall. The judge speaks facts. Gordy speaks slogans. The judge talks about statutes. Gordy talks about natural man and sovereignty. Two completely different worlds colliding in real time. What makes it even more frustrating is how avoidable this whole situation is. The court isn't yelling. The judge isn't being unfair. No one is attacking him. They're just asking him to follow the same rules everyone else follows. Show up, enter a plea, address the charge. That's it. But instead, Gordy keeps trying to outsmart the system with semantics. He questions jurisdiction. He challenges wording. He acts like if he refuses to contract with the court, everything disappears. It doesn't. And that's the part sovereign citizens never seem to understand. You can refuse to believe in the law all you want. The law still believes in you. Then the judge shifts the conversation back to reality again. Since Gordy refuses to cooperate in any meaningful way, the court moves forward without him. A pre-trial date is scheduled. He's ordered to appear in person. Not on Zoom. Not hiding behind a screen. In person. At the courthouse. On a specific date and time. The judge tells him clearly, if you want a jury trial, file the proper motion. If you want help, get a lawyer. Follow the process. Normal instructions. Standard procedure. But even now, Gordy keeps questioning everything, like the rules are optional. The judge doesn't argue anymore. He simply states what will happen. Because that's how real courts work. They don't debate philosophy. They enforce law. There's something almost ironic about the whole situation. Gordy talks constantly about rights and freedom, but his choices are pushing him closer and closer to losing both. Instead of taking responsibility and handling a misdemeanor like an adult, he's digging himself into deeper trouble by refusing to cooperate. The narrator points out something important too. Lying in court or denying obvious facts can cross into perjury territory. That's not a small mistake. That's another crime entirely. One that can carry years in prison. This isn't a game, but Gordy treats it like one. Every time the judge tries to move forward, Gordy circles back to the same tired arguments. No victim. No jurisdiction. No contract. Not a person. A man. Over and over. And each time, the court calmly rejects it. Because none of it has any legal meaning. What you're really watching here isn't a legal mastermind challenging the system. It's someone trapped in misinformation, convinced that memorizing a few phrases makes him untouchable. Meanwhile, the judge looks almost bored. He's seen this before. Probably dozens of times. Different defendant. Same script. Same ending. Eventually, the court locks everything in. Charges stand. Plea entered. Court date set. Orders given. Whether Gordy agrees or not doesn't matter. The case moves forward anyway. And that's the final reality check. You don't get to opt out of the law just because you don't like it. You don't get to redefine words and escape consequences. And you definitely don't win arguments in court by pretending you're not a person. At the end of the day, it's just a simple traffic charge that could have been handled in minutes. But because of pride, misinformation, and stubbornness, it turns into a long, painful lesson in accountability. A perfect example of what happens when internet myths collide with the real world. And every single time, the real world wins.